Reduce shame, isolation, promote hope. One of the biggest things we can do. We can help in navigating health and mental health care systems. Everybody had somebody reach out to them and we didn't really know who to reach out to, what to do. It's pretty good to get that number. Nowadays, don't forget 988. If there's anything I want you guys to remember, it's 988 given this training. They can walk you through everything. We'll get into some of that. But we can also empower people to understand their own thoughts, feelings. What are you feeling right now? What's that? What's that? Let's go through that. We can help people follow through if they're using their self-care stuff, activate supports, crisis supports. What we don't do, we're not therapists. Yeah, we don't engage with people that are, and some of this is, I've engaged with people that have weapons. Is that probably comfortable for all you guys? No. If you're in doubt, then you need to get out and get somebody that can, right? That's a whole other training.
What's a CIT officer?
We don't ever promise. We don't ever promise things to people that we can't make true. CIT is crisis intervention team. Quick rundown on that is it's a training that police officers can go through.
Recording in progress.
It's a training that police officers go through to understand mental illness. So when they go up, they're not going down to blazing. They're going up to try to de-escalate, try to bring people down instead of just arrest them and all that kind of stuff. Other things we don't do, we don't make determinations. Anybody been in crisis with somebody making all these determinations? That's you. We don't be the sole support for people. We don't process traumatic events. It's real therapist. Also, we don't share our own personal opinions about treatment. Why do you think that is? Bias, right? Maybe somebody needs something that I just discriminate against or whatever. So we don't want to do that. We want to lead them in their own journeys. We want to do that. So understanding, a person suicidal doesn't mean they actually want to die. What does it mean? It simply means that they're going through something they don't know how to process. The only choice they can see left is suicide. It means it's the only thing they see left. If anybody has ever experienced suicidal thoughts, and I'm a survivor of suicide attempts, suicidal thoughts, even to this day, suicide is one of my options. It's always there on me. Doesn't mean I want to die. Right? It's like a mental illness. So I was gonna kind of, didn't know if that, this is supposed to be a video, I don't think it's gonna play, but to highlight that idea of people that are suicidal, people, they don't really want to die. Let's go back to 9/11, everybody remembers that, right? People jumping from the towers. Why? Fire. There's fire flying. They get burned or they jump. Right? That's suicide. People didn't shame. People felt bad for them. People felt their pain. And so we as peers need to recognize that same thing. Somebody's suicidal doesn't mean they want to die. It means they see no other option. And so how do we approach that? So that's kind of what the rest of this training is about. So for now, I don't know. So listening is going to be key to everything we do when we're up here. It's not just for suicidal stuff. But it helps. How many people know what effective listening is before I keep going? Go ahead, Cheyenne.
Oh, damn it.
I think
Listen, I was totally, okay, effective listening is, when you hear this and you don't respond like with your own story, you don't jump in and create a conversation, you just listen.
you do. Go ahead, Kevin.
Effective listening is to listen to understand as opposed to listening to respond.
Exactly.
We want to know, so what are we looking for? What are we trying to listen for? Their beliefs, right? Not mine. What's your belief? If you believe that's the only choice you got left, then I need to hear more. Okay? Barriers. What barriers? Why do you think that's the only choice? What are your other barriers? I am intimidated. All this stuff helps people feel like they're cared for. Is that a healing quality? It can help other people gain insight into their own thoughts. Just listening. You don't even say nothing, just listening. You know. It also gives you clues on kind of social sports and other kind of things that can lead conversation towards, right? So when we're listening, if we're doing effective listening and we're good at asking questions, we want to ask questions that are open-ended. Tell me about that. Explain that. I might think I know, but I need you to explain. I need you to give me your wisdom in that. Because every time, if I just sit back and say, show that to me, it's different than what I expected when our conversation started.
It'll help them find their own answer.
It does, and it helps me. The other thing we need to do is we need to give them time to talk without jumping in. We don't want to just talk, just talk, just share that with me. If we're crying, just share that with me. Some of this is pretty hard. There's a pretty good quote, I really like it. When you can't look on the bright side, let's just sit with you in the dark. Let's just sit. Let's just be there for a minute. We'll figure out our way later. Okay? So there's some warning signs. We don't really need to go through them too much because I want to kind of get into some conversation at the end of this. But things, warning signs, said out loud. People are better off without me. What's the point? Them are kind of warning signs that I need to be listening for something else, right? Instead of they want to go back to prison. There's some warning signs here. I need to be listening. Other things you can observe. You're saying goodbyes. Suddenly unexplained or uplifted mood. Does that make sense for somebody that sits there?
Yeah.
It really does.
It would just, it's like they go from manic and like woe is me to a sense of relief to have.
They can be done. And
Give away pets.
seeking our researching methods. You see somebody doing that, what would you do? What do you do? Questions. So let's talk about how you ask directly about this. So you want to ask directly in a manner that shows that his other thoughts are understanding. Right? If I ask directly, are you thinking about ending your life? There's power in there. Because if I'm talking to you, Jen, and I ask you that in an understandable way, then I'm saying that I get it. I can see that option, yes. I can see that. Let's talk. Right? And I'm telling you right now, sometimes I'm horrible at this. Sometimes everything goes so backwards. I'm like, ah! Sometimes people feel feel like they don't want to live anymore. This is something else you could ask me. Sometimes they think about killing themselves. Have you ever had to think about unvalidating? Somebody's in that spot where they feel this is the last choice they have. My greatest gift is to validate, not judge, not shame. Sometimes it's pretty hard. Another thing you could say is, if they feel, you said they feel like you can't handle it anymore. When you say that, you're being very thinking about clarifying, right? It's kind of a little bit of stigma in that question, if you ask me, because it's putting people on Front Street, right? I would probably add some different words to it, but you want to clarify, you want to make sure you're in that space with them. So we're going to take a couple minutes here to just practice, because it's challenging for people to say that kind of stuff. So I want you guys to just kind of turn to your neighbor. Kind of just run through some variations of that question. I'll go back to the slide. You guys don't just need to really respond. This isn't role play. This is more about you learning how to ask the questions yourself. So let me give me some feedback. How'd that feel? You guys in the middle or in the back?
I felt comfortable asking those questions.
Think you've done it before?
Yeah.
It does become second nature if you're in there. And that's the reason for these trainings. Anybody feel really uncomfortable about it?
Feel comfortable about it?
Even today, yeah, uncomfortable.
I felt like working in races for 5 years and holding races hours too. Like I learned a lot, like just by asking bluntly, like, are you just, I don't know, close down because we feel like you're in trouble versus like, hey, you know, people struggle with suicidal thoughts every day. Like this is just your brain, it's an alarm clock in your brain going off that something needs attention, right? So like kind of understanding their feelings on why they're suicidal opens that door to them to feel comfortable.
It really does. What about you? How do you feel about the questions?
I'm pretty comfortable.
Pretty comfortable?
Yeah.
What about if it's your cousin?
I think because of my own experience, I'm pretty comfortable with asking
You're
anyone.
good? Good. I'm still practicing. I've been in this field for however long I've been here. I don't know.
Said 9 years.
So then what do you say? What do you say if the answer is yes?
Do you have a plan?
Thank you. I love that if you don't mind, you're able to be honest. Thanks. That's what can we do? I'm glad you told me that. Right? Sounds like you're in a lot of pain. Sorry about all that. Opens conversations, right? I just built another bridge. I'm tied in. We're in this together now. Anything that'll create that bridge. If you end up getting damn cut, get damn cut. And we'll kind of lead to some of that stuff in here, but right away, don't shy away. And I'm guilty of, are you kidding me? Responses.
Just be happy. Oh.
It's
Oh.
So, how many people are familiar with the Columbia community card deal? Anybody in here? Good, a lot of you guys are. We're not going to study this very much because we got, is this over at 11:30 or 11:30? We'll get time. So if somebody says yes, here's kind of this is a screening tool that people use. We go back so we can see their slide. Ask about planning intent. Ask about past suicide behaviors, that kind of thing. These questions here.
There's an app, that Colombian app.
Yeah, there's definitely an app. You can download it. It's really quick. So if you're in that situation, you don't really know what to say, you can take pictures of this if you want to, but having the app where there's little cards too, you can keep in your wallet
I want one.
and pull it out and just say, let's go through some questions.
Yeah, where can we get those cards at?
If you remind me next week sometime, I'll try to search them up or we'll make some. I don't know right now, but
This is on the app.
Yeah, there's.
this is all on the app, yeah.
What's that?
But you can see as you go,
It's like Columbia Protocol.
Columbia Community Some Protocol, that's right there. Columbia. Right there, protocol, the Columbia Protocol. Well, let's go through some of these real quick. You'd be asking, right? Have you wished you were dead?
In the past.
I actually had thoughts about killing yourself. Then it kind of leads you through. If yes or no, answer two, then you go on through the questions. If the answer is no, then you just skip down here. Kind of finish it out. Just think this would be a good tool.
Yes, 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 and yes.
So if the answer is yes, what do you do? Misty knows now, I know that. You call your MCOTs, you call your 988, you call 911 if you need to.
If you can't be safe home, the safety plans, then most likely they'll meet that criteria for a clean sheet to go to the hospital to get a higher level of care.
We're not talking about a contract of safety either. We're talking about a safety plan. And we'll get to some of that. Everybody clear on this? Do we really need to read the whole thing? Or, I would download the app. But it is a good way to see where we're at. See if these people can be safe. See if the safety plan's going to work. If not, then let's get some other people involved. So again, if the answer is yes to them other more extreme questions, you want to get old 988 right away. The answer is no, you want to create a safety plan. You want to start asking about legal means and that kind of stuff. You can go to the full training for all of this, but
Right. Maybe this will be later on in the class, but who is actually answering the 988?
it's mostly warm line people, so peers, right?
Yeah, the crisis line, it's
And then
Or if the warm line answers the transfer to crisis, you get it up.
So 988 is a national thing now, right? So wherever your phone is at the time, they'll dispatch you to a crisis responder. It could be a peer, it could be a crisis responder, but they're very well versed in directing your call. And if it needs to go up, they'll send it up. If it needs to go down to a peer support, it'll go down. But it's national, so no matter where you're at, you'll find a local resource. That's the beauty about it. Instead of having 20 different crisis numbers in your phone.
So if the person is in a different state than you, you can still call 988 and they will get you to the person in that state.
If you're calling from Utah and somebody's in crisis in Wyoming, you'd have to tell them where they was so they can get local people there involved. But yeah, it's all tied together. It's a national line now, so
I like that.
it's really cool. Now we're going to kind of talk about brief interventions. Brief interventions kind of get under talked about, I think. The statistics show that as many as 70% of people, suicide attempters, never attempted their first outpatient appointment. They maintain treatment for more than a few sessions.
Why is that?
So that's 70% of people that never went to their appointments, actually. You say, why is that?
Yeah.
Because they didn't get support, right? So remember, the risk of suicide is fluid and it can escalate very quickly. So these brief interventions are kind of the counter kind of the antidote for that, right? Just some kind of grief interventions, because if we can be that person, that first appointment, the numbers come down, I'll show you here. So, I think it should tie in, but it's time to be done. So the safety plan, I think there was a few people in here talking about safety plans. This is not a contract for safety, that's different. Contracts for safety, and I don't know the statistics, and maybe I'm talking on my butt here, but they're not very effective. Because if I'm suicidal, and this is coming from experience, and somebody wants me to make a contract, the contract doesn't mean anything. Because I'm not going to be there anyway, so who cares?
Right?
Yeah. And so we're talking about a safety plan. What does that look like for you? How can we keep you safe? So compared to the, it's hard to read what you say.
Compared to a contract for safety.
Compared to contractor safety, those who receive crisis response plan had a 76% reduction in suicide. So that actually puts us 6% in the green. Right? Just by grief interventions. It's not therapy. It's not clinical. It's just brief interventions. Let's share that. Let's talk. So what we need to do first when we're doing these safety plans, we need to make sure we're not going to do tug of war. We need to realize that where the tension is. We need to get on the same side. The goal is always to keep people alive, right? So even if I feel different, I need to get on their side. We need to pull on that same side of the rope. Let's So here's a little introduction to safety plan. Rather than telling people what to do, everybody knows what that does, right? It pushes me right out the door. Let's start working.
Don't do this, don't do
Be happy, positive.
A safety plan helps us know what they actually can do. Somebody, think about suicide, thinking it's the only choice. A safety plan creates new choices. That's all we're trying to do. We're trying to create a reason for living. We're trying to create some other options because they don't want to. They just don't know what else to do. Makes them feel safe. Don't tell me to start over. So this is another video, and we can probably email this to all you guys. But if they don't email it to you, then let me know. I'll send this whole thing to you guys. It'll come in a Google Drive thing. But this is another one where a guy's kind of doing role play. I can't show it because it's their computer. He's just doing role play with somebody that's, been suicidal and he's kind of been through the muck. It's kind of interesting to watch because he just creates a plan for this guy. Explain that to me. How'd you end up in that situation? What are your thoughts? Right? And then he pushes it even further. He says, usually in these kind of situations, there's a curve. So when somebody is actually suicidal, they're down here at the bottom, and it gets really extreme, right? Your emotions and everything go way up there. But it doesn't take too long before they come back down. There's a curve, right? So the safety plans kind of hint on that, and it shows you, okay, well, maybe I'm just in a lot of emotion right now, and maybe I just need to create a plan. It's really interesting to watch. So make sure everybody that wants it, email me. I'll send you this whole slide. Wrong direction. Tom, I told you not to push the up.
Sorry, I can't hold myself.
So the elements of a safety plan. The first one is going to be 3 warning signs. I'm going to go back here so I can actually see the wall. The crisis may be developing. That's it for me. What are my first 3 warning signs that I'm getting to that curve where my suicidal thoughts are going to spiral out of control, right? Then we're going to want to kind of come up with 3 internal coping strategies. What do I do when I start feeling like that? What's my best response? The next thing we're going to want is have 4 people in social settings that provide a distraction. These aren't really your supports. These are people that just going to distract me from myself. Whether it's the park, whether it's the bowling alley, probably not a bar, but it could be. And that's not my journey, right? It could be any place. 4 things that are distracting. That's going to pull me out of that emotion. Then you're going to want to come up with 3 people that I can ask for help and their phone numbers. Who can I actually call? I'm getting to the top of that peak. Who am I going to reach out to? It's kind of like a rap plan. If anybody knows what that is, I do raps too.
And I think it's super important when you're doing these is like detailed as possible, like the names, the phone numbers, not just like their name, because what if your cell phone is dead or.
Yeah, you have them written down in your wallet. There's a card for
Because
this
when your
too.
brain's in crisis, you don't think of like what brings you joy and your focus skills, like who actually can call that, like.
Maybe throw your phone against the wall before you get to that point. It's very important, thank you for that, to have that written. Usually in your wallet or your purse or somewhere that's always close. Then you want to have 3 or 4 professional people or agencies. We're talking extreme now, right? All the other stuff is filled. What professionals can I reach out to? Again, in your wallet, in your tattooed on the back side of your.
That's what I said.
Let's go get a tattoo. Don't be sad, go get a tattoo.
And always the reason for living. The reason for living cements all the rest of it together. It makes them, it gives them a reason to even want to look at their list, right? Are you laughing at me, Brad? Just because I got my shoes off. Brad.
It's just so cute.
Then strategies. Always come up with strategies. And the strategies isn't really going to be something that needs to be written on your safety plan. It can. But your strategies are always going to change. And that's a good thing about having peer, right? Because if I'm helping people with these plans, I can come up with a new strategy every day. Hey, Misty, how are you today?
Yeah.
We need to adjust anything? How are you feeling? I can do it right out loud because we know what we're talking about. Nobody else does. Right? And if we need to go into a private conversation, we can. If not, then we're just high fives and going on to the next day. So an ideal safety plan, did I go the right way? It's going to be collaborative. Can I say that again?
Collaborative.
An ideal safety plan has nothing to do with me. It's what does this look like? Let's make this. There's no real template. It's going to be portable. It can be used and edited often.
Yeah.
We already just talked about that, right? Really supported by other family members. Once you get it all created together. Remember in the beginning of this, I told you guys, don't be the only supporter.
Yeah. Oh,
The
yeah.
families, the network around them need to be involved. So
That's
I
gonna
take
burn you out
this,
quick.
we take this plan to them. Can we all get on board with this plan?
I also tell my clients like, hey, send this to your therapist, so they see like, hey,
Yeah.
you see what's on the same page, they know your coping skills, they know what your triggers are.
That helps. That really helps in their therapy. A lot of good therapists are running on empty. They don't really know what's going on because people won't talk.
Right?
So it does help.
We're just assistant, man, we're not talking to
You
you.
always want to be building on past strengths and successes. What'd you do before? How'd that work? Well, let's amp that up. Let's add some nitro into that idea. You need to be able to use it in any kind of situation. It needs to be very specific and detailed. There needs to be a tool to draw out and remember reasons for living, we already talked about. And then it needs to be driven by the needs and the wants of the people at risk. If I just do all this for them, it's worthless piece of paper.
Right, so just sitting there, this one day working someone else.
Brian, can
Yeah.
I just make a comment? So,
Wait,
for
what's your
me,
name? How to do it?
for me, had my doctor just asked me, had she just said, okay, Alicia, we're gonna create this safety plan, I would have been like, yeah, no, we're not, right? I would have totally just shut down. But she went through all of these questions and she went through and asked me, keeping mental notes or writing a few things down. So I didn't even know what she was doing until we were done with it. And then she's like, okay, this is your plan, your husband's on board. She called my husband, like went through the whole process, and I didn't even know that was happening. And so sometimes I think we need to be aware of the person that we're working with and their state of mind because it doesn't have to be, let's pull out a piece of paper and write all of this down and make a plan, because I would have just been like, no way. I already have a plan and I'm not making another one, right?
10
So,
minutes? Okay. That's a good point.
just a thought.
That is a huge thought. And then you don't, a lot of people will get shocked by
Can I
that.
ask her real quick? How did you feel when, after all that happened, she's like, okay, here's this, and this is what's going on? How did that make you feel? Did you feel like deceived at all?
No.
No?
No,
No?
because in that moment, it was the first time I'd ever been asked if I had a plan. And so when she asked me that, and I had a choice to say yes or no, and then she was like, okay, she's like, really, she goes, as your medical professional, she says, I have two choices. She says, we come up with a plan to keep you safe. She says, or I admit you to the hospital. And I was like, I got 5 kids at home, you're not sending me to the hospital, right? And so, because that takes away my freedom and my agency to carry forth my plan, right? If she puts me in the hospital. So, I was like, I don't want to go to the hospital. And so she's like, okay, she goes, can we just have a conversation? And can I talk to you a little bit about what this is going to look like in order for me to keep you out of the hospital?
Okay.
And so like, I didn't feel deceived in any way because she told me we were gonna have a conversation, and she told me that I would have to have things in place, but she didn't call it a safety plan. She didn't, I mean, she did call it to keep
You
me
want to be
safe,
careful with that.
but like not calling it like this plan. It was this big elaborate thing that we were gonna come up with and do, and I was gonna have to abide by. And my husband took on a huge role in my recovery, like it.
So I gotta keep going though, because,
Thank you.
but is everybody okay with that? That's a huge point. If I just pull out a piece of paper, I just lost you. It's not necessarily that. You need to build into that. And so I'm glad you brought that up. Thank you. So then what? I mean, we get the plan put together, then what? What do we do? Send them on their way. I'll see you next week. Is that what we do?
I mean, we can ask them how they feel about her, or like if there's.
One of the most important things you gotta do is to follow up. We talked about this, we talked about that. Where's your plan? What's that looking like? We need to change something. Remember all that stuff's in that last bullet we just read? It's gotta change. We gotta change it. There's gonna be bumps. So here's some things you can do to follow up with people, ask how they are, check, see steps you're taking, there's just talking about, explain purpose and the blah, blah, blah. Assist them in getting childcare. Maybe they're overwhelmed. Maybe you need some resources. You never know. It's always a different story every time. So the good news about all this is, I mean, I know I kind of shared a lot of kind of darkness in here, right?
Yes.
The good news is that most people who experienced suicidal thoughts and they're really making an attempt. They don't go on to die by suicide. Social supports, and of course effective treatment are the key to that kind of stuff. So let's talk about what those people that are survivors say, right? More positive statistics, less than 1 in 10 actually make attempt on their lives. And of those, only a minority ever gone to die. So that means everywhere we go, there's people among us, right? That either attempted it or thinking about it at the present moment. I've been struggling with it yesterday. It's there. But again, I bet you 75% of the people in here have been through that. And you're here. And you're all badass peer supporters, right? And so, why not talk? So the question is, why is there so little in the public sphere about this kind of stuff? What do you think people would say if they actually dared to talk?
The truth.
There's some quotes people would say. Going through my struggles, suicide completely transformed my life. I'll tell you right now, my whole journey started with suicide. Another one, the crucible of personal transformation through which their greatest strengths and purposes were revealed. By sharing that knowledge in order, it encourages us to go forward, it encourages us to build them strengths and get it. So the question is, what's your story? How many people in here have a story of suicidal thoughts, history, brothers? I've lost my brothers and sisters. I mean, look at that. So why not share? Why not be that light? My journey started from a shit show. But hey, what a beautiful piece of shit it was. Because look at me now.
You're the best.
I think it's the end of the slides. This thing isn't working, but I think it's got my phone number on there again. It says thank you, so I'll just say thank you.
Thanks, Brian.